Today is March 31st, Tuesday, in case you are losing track, as we all are. Today, I wanted to kind of go back to some of the mental health hygiene, but I was inspired by this. I read an article in the Lancet, Graduate School Habits Return, but the Lancet did a quick review on the psychological effects of quarantine. Now, all of the studies that had been done were the very strict kind of quarantine, like uh, those travelers, when the outbreak started, those travelers who were coming into the United States from China, they had to be in hotel rooms for 14 days before they could enter the country. Um, so this is for the most extreme form of quarantine, which is a little bit different than what most of us are under in um, sort of like the stay-at-home orders and social distancing. But still, it's similar enough um, to be able to make some conclusions off of it. One of the things, not surprising, is that people who are under quarantine are much greater risk of post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety symptoms such as having trouble sleeping. Even after the quarantine, all of these effects can show up months, years after. Uh, that's how unnatural a quarantine is. Symptoms of depression, returning to substance abuse problems, anger, violence, domestic violence increases, violence against children increases when under things like quarantine. Um, it seems as though the longer it lasts, the worse the effects. When information from officials isn't very clear, that makes things worse. Um, Having difficulty accessing social media, accessing the basic necessities, all of that makes it worse. So that's some good news. There's plenty of social media out there for all of us. And at least as far as I know, in most places in the United States, people are still able to access most of the basic necessities that they need. Um, it did make some recommendations on how to reduce the psychological impact. One of those is trying very much to think about a quarantine as an altruistic self-choice rather than something that is being imposed upon you by force. One of the things we know about trauma is that what makes trauma so hard for people, and trauma can include situations like now when you are scared for your life or the life of people you love. What makes trauma so difficult is a sense of a lack of control. So the more that we all mentally establish a sense of control right now, the better we will do now and in the long run. So deciding I choose to stay home because of like my parents, elderly, people with illness, my children. I choose to not go to restaurants because of my community. The more we think about this and not think about it as rules from above, forcing us to give up the things that we love, the better we'll be. And that sense of having control can also be taken in some other ways. One will be that routine that everyone keeps talking about that's so hard to do when all of our routine is disrupted. But following the routine maintains a sense of self-control in a couple of ways. One It's okay, I still have control over things because dinner is still at 6. And it's always been at 6, it's still at 6. Life is okay because we still have dinner at 6. Our brains really, in some ways, are that simple, that just keeping a routine helps us feel like life is okay. Another reason is that our brains only have a certain amount of space in them. And the more we use them for things like, I wonder if we should have lunch now or in 30 minutes, or is now the right time to go outside, or should I put it off? Um, how do I do these things after all? The more time we spend thinking about even those little things, the less room we have to think about other stuff. And one of the parts of our brains that is the first to go is self-control and the ability to see the big picture. So when our lives are chaotic and we're constantly making decisions and thinking about things, social media keeps things on our mind, keeps us distracted, keeps us multitasking, and more quickly the ability to remember, okay, why am I doing this? Okay, let me take a deep breath and be kind to my kids because they're as stressed out as I am. All of that goes first. And then once that starts going, then you feel bad because you just yelled at your kids. And then that's more stressful. And it's that downward spiral that I talked about. So I know it probably makes you want to roll your eyes when I say this, but really and truly develop a routine and develop some quiet in your life. Turn off the news, turn off the social media, because then your brain is just constantly filled with stuff while you're also trying to do things right in front of you. You can't do both, and you end up failing at both. So now on the other hand, sometimes you develop a sense of control by breaking rules. I once read a book about monks that are current monks, so this isn't like Middle Ages stuff, that live in a monastery in England where they spend their entire lives in a cell. So basically a room that is about as big as a sort of a standard middle-sized living room with a small attached garden, walls around the garden, and they come together for church services once a week. So talk about isolation. Now, again, this is isolation by choice, which definitely, and it's a calling. Clearly, most of us would lose our minds if we tried to live that way. But one of the things that really stuck with me in that book is that a monk who had been living that life for 50 years and watching a variety of men come into the monastery and some having to leave because they just couldn't handle the pressure. He said that every monk that was successful picked one or two of the strict rules and broke them slightly. So maybe used a little bit more wood than they technically were supposed to in their fires in the winter. Or slept a little bit past the correct wake-up time. Or kept more books in their room than they were technically supposed to. But that those small little ways of breaking the rules actually helped them keep the bigger rules better. And I have found that in my own family life during this coronavirus, when we have all of these big new rules that we're starting to follow, it can really lead to a sense of claustrophobia and panic and stress. All of these no's that are suddenly in our lives. And so I've been encouraging the children to break small rules. Now, the rules still apply in our house because that's part of that whole routine and avoiding chaos. But we do things like eat cake with our hands, do living room floor picnics, living room spend the night parties. I let them drag all of the stuffed animals that we have in the house and make a giant pile on one of the couches. Um, they um, blow bubbles inside, splash in the kitchen sink more than I would normally let them. We we've been ordering takeout a lot more than I normally do. Normally, I'm a cook at home kind of person, to save money. Taking 4 children to a restaurant isn't very fun, but in order to make life a little bit easier on me, feel like I support the community, added bonus, I've been getting takeout once a week. It's one of those small personal rules I'm breaking, but it gives me some joy. It gives me some sense of control over my situation. Um, I've also changed some of my self rules about keeping the house clean. Like right now, the laundry never actually gets put away. We have laundry baskets for the clean clothes, laundry baskets for the dirty clothes. Um, they get worn, put in the dirty clothes basket. Yes, washed, clean clothes from clean clothes onto bodies. No drawers, no closets. I don't like it. Normally, my house is a little bit more organized than that, but it makes things so much easier not having to worry about that extra step. And then gives me a sense of freedom. When I'm here at work, I wear jeans because no one can see my pants. So I'm not quite in yoga pants. I haven't, or pajama pants at work. I have not quite gotten that comfortable. Um, and sometimes I walk around the office barefoot. Not a big deal. I know, rebel, barefoot in an empty office, but it kind of makes me feel like I'm getting away with something instead of thinking about how weird it is to be in a completely empty office building. So the social quarantine stuff is serious. It really will start breaking us all down if we're not careful. Um, Focus on your ability to have choice, to have routine, and that the sacrifices that you're all making right now are for the greater good, are for my grandmother, are for your grandfather, are for your best friend. And that is, and the more our kids see us do these things, the better they'll be able to do them and we'll be better able to cope. So we're all in this together. I'll post some more later this week about Autism Awareness Month. Starts tomorrow. April 2 is the official World Autism Awareness Day, and I don't want that to get lost with everything else that's happening. But at the same time, there's really other important stuff happening. I am going to post a link to the Lancet article that I quoted for all of you information nerds like me, if you want to read it from the source. Otherwise, just remember those main points. Be kind to each other. Take care of yourself. I'll check in later.